Hey everybody, Mike here. Today's step-by-step how to draw tutorial is Batman from the animated series. The image on the screen is the reference for the drawing we're going to be doing today. I do take requests, so if you have any characters you want to learn how to draw, go ahead and put that in the comment section, and you may see a video on that in the future. Now grab your pencil, paper, eraser, and let's get into the drawing. I'll put a picture of Batman in the upper corner so you can see the reference image while we're drawing. So draw a vertical oval to represent the head, kind of in the upper half of the page, just off center to the right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the gesture line of Batman's body. So we're going to take a curved line off the back of the head, curve it a little bit to the left of the page, and then curve it back down to the right towards the bottom of the page. This represents his back, his hips, and his leg. And then we're going to take a line back up at the point where the knee curves back, so you notice his right leg kind of curves back behind him. Now we're going to draw the shoulders and create the upper torso. This is kind of like the shape of a pick, kind of like a upside down triangle with curved edges to represent his upper body. And now we're going to draw his waist, kind of represent that with an oval right in the middle of our gesture line. All of our body parts are following the gesture line we drew at the beginning. And now we're going to draw the left leg, which comes off the waist box off to the right, and then the knee bends down, and we're going to draw a little line for his foot. Now we want to get the arms in. Now the right arm is towards the camera, towards the viewer. So we're going to draw a circle here, which represents where the shoulder connects to the torso. We're going to take a line up and bend at the elbow, and then draw a curved line off to the right. This represents his outstretched right arm. You can see the body form starting to take shape on the page. Again, keep your lines loose and sketchy at this point, and we're going to start adding detail later. Now to draw his left arm, which is kind of outstretched and kind of a little bit behind him, draw a curved line, draw a little circle to represent the elbow, and then draw a line for the forearm to the hand. Now you've got his basic pose on the page. Now we're going to start adding some detail in. We're going to start up at the head again, and we're going to start drawing the cowl of Batman's head. I'm going to take a line down the center of the circle, kind of a curved line off to the right to represent the center line of the face, which is tilted 3/4 turn off to the right. And this helps us guide the facial features such as the eyes, nose, and mouth. Now Batman's wearing a mask covering half of his face, so we're going to keep that in mind as we draw this. I'm going to take a line down for the jaw. He's got a very square jaw and a square chin. And there I just refined the center line of the face. Now we're going to bisect the face left to right in order to represent the eye line. I'm taking a line down towards the center line, and we're going to draw the line angled back up to the right. This represents the eye line of Batman's cowl. Here I'm just refining the face a little bit, getting the shape of the face, drawing the ears of the cowl and the curvature of the top of the head here. The back of the cowl connects right to the back of the right shoulder on the left. Now we're going to add a little detail for the cowl at the jawline. Now using our guidelines, we're going to draw Batman's eyes. They're kind of like triangular slits that angle down towards the center of the face, towards the nose area. And we're going to add the bottom of the cowl that covers Batman's nose. So take the same angle that the eyes are at, draw a little point in the middle for the nose, curve it back up and back towards the right side of his face to complete the mask. If any lines don't look like they're in the right spot, feel free to stop, erase them, and redraw them. I'm constantly erasing and adjusting the line work as I see it. And if you need a little help with pencil control, rest your hand on the paper and use it to steady your hand as you draw the lines. Now this version of Batman has a very elongated space between his chin and his nose, so keep that in mind. And notice how his mouth is in the upper half of that space. It's just below the nose, creating a very large chin. Now Batman's pose here is very curved, and he's kind of hunched over, which compresses his chest and stomach into the belt. Mouth is just a simple slit that goes across his face, and to represent his mouth being open or kind of seeing his teeth, just follow the lines that I'm doing here. I'm using a mechanical pencil because it's much easier for me to maintain the same line weight and consistency in my drawing, and I never have to sharpen it, which is a plus. I've always used a mechanical pencil to draw. I just like it better. I come from an architecture background, so we always used mechanical pencil, so I just got used to it, and I've carried that into my art as well. Okay, that's pretty much Batman's head, at least the rough version of it without all the detail, with the shade and the shadow. We'll add that in later in the color version. I will draw some guidelines to represent where the shade and shadow go in order to help me color it in later. If you're just keeping this as a pencil drawing, feel free to draw those in and use your pencil to shade things in. Now I'm going to the left to refine Batman's back. Again, he's very hunched over and his back is very curved, and followed that line all the way through his waist and through the bottom of his leg. And when I locate the shoulder, I need to locate where the cape kind of comes over the shoulder and connects to the cowl. So I'm drawing this curved line that goes from the chin up over the shoulder and extends into the cape that goes off in the distance as Batman is leaping. When I was searching for pictures of Batman to draw, this one jumped out at me. I thought it was a pretty exciting pose, but I didn't think it was too difficult, and it was easy to do a tutorial on, and the drawing didn't actually take that long. It took me about 50 minutes to complete this drawing. Keep that in mind when you're drawing. Feel free to stop the video at any time so that you can catch up with what I'm doing. You're seeing the highlights of what I'm drawing and not all of the erasing and fixing that I'm doing all the time in all of my drawings. I drew kind of a U shape from the shoulder across the body and upwards to kind of represent the chest. Again, the chest is compressed and bent over. That's why you don't see a lot of his abs or stomach. And that helps us kind of locate both arms and where the cape comes off the cowl. So right now we're connecting the cape to the right side of the cowl and curving that line from the top of the page down towards his chin. And because the cape covers most of the shoulder on the left arm, you have to draw the cape first. Once I do that, I can locate the shoulder where the chest connects to the bicep, and we can take the arm off to the right of the page. And once we locate his chest, we can take the line of the arm, which curves off to the right of the page, and you don't really even see much of Batman's bicep. You see a lot more of his forearm. So it's important to locate where the elbow is and then curve a line up for the forearm and go back into the distance towards the hand. His forearm is very fat in the middle, and then it tapers down to where his hand is, right to where the wrist is. Now we're going to draw the bat symbol on the front of the chest. So we're going to create a little oval right in the center of the chest, right below the chin. Don't worry about it being a perfect oval. Turn the page to refine it as needed. Now this right arm really challenged me a lot. I couldn't get the lines just right, and I don't even think in the final version it looked exactly the way I wanted it. I'll point out the flaws at the end when we get to the end of this video. Now as I start finalizing the line work, the lines become darker and more final and less sketchy. Now the forearm comes up from the elbow of the right arm, and the hand is a little more difficult too because the fingers are coming at you. The thumb goes off to the right over the top of his head. Now for right now, I'm just going to draw kind of an oval just to represent the palm of his hand. I'm going to take the thumb off again, off to the right of the page. And then I'm going to draw his fingers kind of outstretched and spread out into the foreground. Okay, that's a good first attempt at just laying it out. We'll refine it later. That hand is very hard to draw. I wanted to do a whole video on my channel of why hands are so difficult to draw. I know they're difficult for me. Let me know what you think. Some people find it very easy to draw hands, and I've seen some videos, some art videos, tutorials of how to draw hands where they just break it down really simply, and I still can't get it, but I'm still trying. I'm starting to add some of the detail into Batman's costume, such as the gauntlets that he wears on his arm, or his gloves, the kind of mid-forearm. You draw the curved line to represent the glove. His left hand is a little easier to draw, as his fingers kind of go off into the background. You don't see as much of the front of his hand, so they just kind of fade into the background. Draw a couple of little lines to separate his fingers, and we're going to start to add the little hooks that are on his gloves. Now we're going to start taking his stomach down towards his waist, and again, it's very wide. His back curves out wide because he's hunched over, and his front, his chest, stomach, and waist are all compressed. So I'm going to draw the line of his belt, kind of curving across the bottom, again, using the guideline of the gesture of his body. We're going to take his belt up and around to the right of the page, and then the two lines of his belt, the top of the belt and the bottom of the belt. So most of the lines of his upper body are pretty solid. They're getting to be pretty finalized. I still will tweak and refine as I go, but this is a good start to his upper body. With this pose, I'm really trying to exaggerate Batman's motion because he's leaping into action. Okay, so now we got most of the upper body down, and we got to start thinking about his legs and his waist. Now the line of the legs and the waist continue from the back. So as the belt kind of dissects the body in half, we're going to think about where his legs are and how his waist box fits into this. So we're going to curve a line where the leg comes off of his body on the right side, and we're going to kind of curve his leg upward. Again, he's very hunched over. His knee on his left leg is up in the air and bent down as he's in a leaping motion. So curve a line up from the waist, up towards the chest, and then curve it down to the knee, which is just below the left hand. Now draw the curve of the right leg, which comes off the left side there. Now we know where both of his legs come off of the waist. They add a little detail to the belt, drawing the vertical lines of the various little components of his utility belt here. These are just simple little vertical rectangles. Now notice how the right leg really curls under. So you're going to take the line down, continuing the line down from his back through his waist and then down through his right leg. It really curves under. His knee is mostly under his chin, although it's that far to the right. And I didn't get it quite right, so I'm going to have to go back and redraw this because the leg turned out to be way too skinny and it just didn't look right to me. So I had to actually fix this because I didn't curl it far enough under. Right now, the knee of the right leg is under the bat symbol on his chest, but it needs to be a little further to the right off the right side of his face. So it really curves under. Look at the reference photo there. And I didn't realize this at first, and I was trying to wonder, why is this leg so skinny? It needs to be a little wider than this at the thigh. So this is a little better. It's still not quite far enough, but it's a little better. It allows me to get his thigh much thicker. I'm going to angle a line back up where the knee kind of comes up, and you don't even really see the calf of his right leg here, but you see his little foot in the background. So we're going to just draw a little curved line here at the end of the leg to represent the calf, and then it goes right into his little feet. And his feet aren't very simple to draw. They're just little wedges, his little boots and his little feet. Now I'm just drawing a little zigzag here to represent where the light kind of hits his shorts, because his waist is kind of dark colored, but he's got a little ripple there where the light hits it. Now we're going to finish off his left leg. So draw a line from the bottom of where the curved line is on his waist to extend his leg out. This is the bottom part of his thigh, off to the right. We're going to draw the calf, so curve a line down from where the back of the knee is. A couple more lines to represent the muscle tone of his legs. And from the point of his knee, throw his shin in there, curve a line down towards where the foot is. His calf is a little wide, but his feet and ankle get really narrow. And then the foot is a simple triangle again, just a little wedge shape. Again, the line work is starting to become final. The lines are becoming darker and more solid, and we're erasing all of the little guidelines and sketchy lines from our initial sketch. I always keep those lines very sketchy and light so that they erase easily and they're not seen through, sometimes if you draw too hard and try to erase it, you can still see the lines. I keep those lines very light and sketchy, so when you erase them, they just disappear completely. And then we're going to add the little boot detail. So curve a line up towards the knee and then down, and that's the point of the boot at the top towards the knee on the shin. And then do any cleanup you need to with extraneous lines or scratchy lines that have remained. But our Batman's starting to come together. How's yours looking? Let me know in the comments. Let's go back up to the chest and finish the Bat logo on his chest. So again, refine this oval as much as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Best way to draw the bat symbol for me is to follow the oval. I draw the outer part of the wings first and follow the curve of the oval. And then at the top, I just kind of curve a line down. I do a little upward gesture with his little top of the bat's head and then curve it back towards the other side of the wing. Now on the bottom, you just have 3 points. So you curve them up, down, and then the point in the middle, right below the head, is the longest point. So not too difficult to draw the bat symbol. Again, using the oval as a guide, it's pretty simple. I do like to use line weights in my drawing, so I thicken some lines and I make some lines narrow. Lines that fade in the background are usually a little thinner and fine, Lines that are in the foreground are usually a little darker. Look at Batman's back. He's got a real thick line on his back to show that that's just a more massive part of his body. Adding line thickness and line weight to your drawings gives a little more depth to the drawing. So now we're going to go clean up that left hand on the right side of the page. Now that we're getting close to wrapping up the drawing, I want to point out some of the flaws that I see now that I'm having a chance to look back and as I'm doing a voiceover of this, things that are bothering me about the drawing. First of all, Batman's left hand on the right side, his hand is a little too big. It's supposed to be fading off into the background, but the hand is pretty large considering that his forearm kind of goes backwards. The hand should be a little bit smaller than I'm showing it, and it should be flatter. If I'm trying to match the image in the reference image, the hand should be a little flatter. It's kind of wide. I didn't bend Batman in half enough. His chest is not quite as compressed as it should be. I think it's too elongated, and I wanted to get his back a little more curvy and out to the left. So that's, as I'm looking at that, it's not looking quite right. His back should jut out a little more to the left. The biggest flaw that I did is that his right hand, his outstretched hand, should be much bigger. It's in the foreground, and it should be larger, and it should be a little more... Basically, the angle of his arm should be a little further down. And maybe I'll start doing this in all my videos, pointing out my drawing flaws, but I think it adds a little bit of entertainment value there. So here is the final pencil drawing of Batman. Hope you found it easy to follow along. Let me know in the comments section how your drawing turned out. Again, I do take requests, so if you have any characters you want to learn how to draw, go ahead and comment below, and you may see a video on that in the future. If you're dying to watch another video right now, go ahead and click this one right here.